Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Cloud Imperium have really been on it with the forum posts and giving out information about Alpha 3.11's new features during this EVOCATI phase, and we've had some more updated information on station and point of interest defences, security forces, and some new associated laws in a post entitled Alpha 3.11 Rest Stop Armistice Restrictions Update. It's by Molly, so let's use a more appropriate voice when reading it out.
Hello again everyone. Coming at you with another update as we get closer to Alpha 3.11. Like we mentioned before, teams are putting the final touches on their work that you'll be able to see in the verse come patch day, and we're taking the opportunity to provide some additional insight into some of the upcoming improvements. In tomorrow's roadmap update, a card will be added detailing the relaxation of armistice restrictions. Beginning in Alpha 3.11, we are allowing ship combat in armistice zones around all rest stops. The caveat is that it's ship combat only. FPS weapons combat is still disabled inside or outside the station due to a limitation which should be rectified in a later release. Obviously, we couldn't simply allow ship combat without also ensuring our stations were adequately protected and policed, so there have been big developments in this area. We wanted to give you a bit of a deeper look into the changes that will be made alongside the armistice relaxations, so we once again caught up with Luke Presley and the design team to break them all down for you. Destructible defences of a few sizes and varieties have been added on and around the rest stops. These range from the small size 4 turrets, now destructible, placed on landing pads, through size 6 sentries seen in the Claim Jumpers missions, to all new size 10 turrets on and around the perimeter of the stations. Once destroyed, these currently respawn after 5 minutes, subject to balancing, but in future we aim to improve this simplistic system. We have created a security response system which, while still quite simplistic, adds the crime stats of all players in the area, we're calling this internally the heat, and spawns security ships of increasing number and strength in response. The system responds quickly to increases in an area's heat by spawning in new ships and despawning out any weaker ships they replace. The system responds slower to the killing of its own members, should the heat not be raised by this, and slower still to decreases in heat, to keep security patrolling for a time to ensure the threat doesn't return anytime soon. We will develop this system further in the future to also take into account the type of ship the players are using. A new infraction has been created called the Armistice Violation. This is a felony and is given should players damage other ships or stations' defences within the Armistice Zone. It does have a grace period, an allowance in which the player is warned that further infractions will result in a felony. For it's the first implementation, this new infraction will only remain active on the player's criminal record for 1 day. Should the player enter the Armistice Zone while having a crime stat, or gain a crime stat whilst within the zone, they will be shown a warning telling them to leave immediately. As usual, we'll be monitoring your feedback closely as soon as you get your hands on these changes, so be sure to let us know what you think. We understand this is a fundamental change and fully plan to iterate until we're in a good place. We hope you enjoyed this update. Like we mentioned before, we don't have a set schedule for these types of updates, but we'll be continuing to follow up with other teams in the coming weeks to see what additional 3.11 fixes and improvements we're able and ready to share early with y'all. Stay tuned.
There were some follow-up questions answered by Luke Presley as well. Does this in essence mean green players can defend themselves if they're getting attacked by pirates in safe zones? Yes, you can defend yourself as long as you didn't initiate the hostilities, same as usual. You can attack those with crime stats who enter a armistice zone without incurring an infraction as well, and elsewhere too. Is this coming with any changes to torpedoes whatsoever? Starting to lock a missile or torpedo within an armistice zone will generate a felony. Also, torpedoes are currently being rebalanced and AI being made capable of targeting them, so the turrets will hopefully be capable of defending the area from them in the very near future. How about locking a missile on a target that is in an armistice zone while someone else is outside of the armistice zone, so the aggressor's outside? No crime there, but the armistice zone is 12 kilometers and will be adjusted to match the longest lock-on distance of torpedoes if they increase beyond that in the future. However, as mentioned in the Law System Updates post, locking a missile anywhere not just around an armistice zone, on a ship will now count as a hostility and allow that ship to attack you in self-defense without incurring an infection themselves. Also, locking an NPC security ship anywhere counts as a felony as well. How will this work with the Comare system? Will players attacking the station still get a crime stat and increasing heat if the nearby Comare is down? One thing that we neglected to add was that each station will now have their own monitored zone that will not be able to be disabled for now. Luke also said we are actively working on allowing security and defences to fire at trespassers without the need to give trespassing players a felony or a crime rating. This will mean while bounty hunters may still be attacked for trespassing, they will not be given a lasting felony. They are looking into combat logging to avoid bounty hunters and PvP encounters in general. Obviously just Alt F4ing or logging out so that you don't have to fight or go to prison or whatever is an issue. Obviously when they want that gameplay to be in the game and people not to be able to just avoid that because they didn't want a bounty hunter or a group of bounty hunters coming after them after they committed a crime. Something like that. So I really love that post. So the turret stuff, that means we can attack and assault stations, but also potentially it may help fix some exploits preventing players shooting into an armistice zone and players not being able to return fire. Also, the potential for lockdowns as well mean that we might have to organise players to dislodge enemy fleets and blockades and ships. Someone could lock down Port Olisar or a landing zone much more easily when this sort of stuff's in, and actually being a lot more meaningful. That said, spawning at a station constantly and not being able to leave because there is an enemy fleet there might be a bit rough, but I suppose that's where the GTA 5 style heat comes in. They're going to be fighting security forces constantly. I would like a way of being able to spawn at another location though. Do you know what I mean? If I'm locked down at Port Olisar, maybe I want to be able to spawn at somewhere else so that I can come back in from a different angle with a fleet or whatever, rather than just be stuck there. It looks like that security might get quite a lot tougher and push back against players that anger them, and the lawful players and NPCs, if they get attacked a lot, then they're going to have basically NPC allies, I suppose, spawning in certain locations. If I can stage my own fleet battles, great. That sounds like great content. The new laws associated with the armistice zones might be a little bit too forgiving, but we won't really know until it's in our hands, and it's going to be tweaked a lot during the EVOCATI and PTU phases for sure. I can't wait to try this all out more publicly, hopefully in the first wave of PTU. Also, it'll be interesting to see how and when they implement the FPS free fire in armistice zones, because that's going to allow for a lot going on. That's going to be pretty hectic when it first goes out, I suppose, because people are going to be going a bit mad with it. Thank Chris Roberts, though, that they have a reasonably functional prison system and law system to support that. So that should prevent stuff getting too mad constantly, because players are going to constantly be going to prison. This 100% expands the gameplay for bounty hunters and criminals alike for sure. I'm very much looking forward to it. The questions I have here though are there going to be missions and reasons to attack players near armistice zones in 3.11 or 3.12? Otherwise it's cool, and yes, it's working towards sort of like the end game mechanically, but if there's no reason to do it in-game mechanically, if there's no real reason to attack players in the armistice zones, and it's only for like sandbox reasons and to make the game more open, then maybe CIG might have missed a little bit of a trick there, but it's still something that, as I said, moves closer to the final intentions for various elements of the game. But what do you think? Are you excited for these changes? Do you think there will be reasons to engage in armistice areas in 3.11? What would you like to see with these mechanics? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What am I shilling for today, I hear you ask? Do you hate it when people steal all of your money and your house over the internet? I know I do. NordVPN may have been invented by wizards to help protect your personal data from the prying eyes of the dark web, a sinister cabal of technomancers that grow in power the more they know about your browsing habits. The true story of NordVPN's origins are unknown and lost to the ages, and without using facts, no one really knows how it provides more accessibility to otherwise censored websites or a safer security experience for all that use it. All I know is that it does, and that when you sign up to it, the power level of my bank account grows, and I use it, and maybe you should too. Every month we have a giveaway for a Star Citizen ship. For this month of September, it's for the Talon Light Fighter, the Battlebird Glass Cannon. Just comment on any of my videos made during September 2020 to be in for a chance of winning that. That ship should be flyable by the end of the year. If you'd like to further support the channel, there is Patreon or YouTube channel memberships. via the join button down below. That will net you some exclusive content each month, but sharing videos, liking, subscribing, dinging the bell, as well as commenting and giving feedback really does help the channel to grow and give me an idea of what you guys want. Thanks very much for watching, you take care, and I'll see you in the verse.